Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity to support this motion. Mr. Speaker, I support this motion because first, it is important that the presence of the Senate is felt. Kenyans should know what the Senate does, and a Senate machinery is one of the ways we can come closer to the people and they know what we are doing. Mr. Speaker, sir, the county which has been proposed for Senate machinery is a very, very important county, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in my position where I used to work before I became a member of parliament, I was in the Ministry of Planning, and I used to be in charge of Turkana, a program in Turkana funded by the Norwegian government. And they were doing almost what the government is supposed to do in Turkana, which is provision of health care, water, agriculture, livestock, and fisheries, and everything else, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, this is a county which was marginalized right from the colonial times. Mr. Speaker, those counties used to be classified as NFD, which was the Northern Frontier District, where people were not supposed to go unless you were given a permission by the district commissioners. And they were supposed to be preserved, I don't know for what purpose. They were not supposed to be treated strictly as part of Kenya. And Mr. Speaker, after independence again, this marginalization continued, because the government then adopted a paper called Sessional Paper Number 10, which talked of investment only in very productive areas, the areas which were giving quick returns in terms of agricultural development, and areas like Turkana were completely ignored, Mr. Speaker. They were ignored in terms of infrastructure, and they were also ignored in terms of provision of a lot of services. Mr. Speaker, sir, it was thought that the areas are not productive because the return per investment of a shilling was much higher than in the other, what was called the more productive areas. Mr. Speaker, what has been discovered now is that these areas are very, very rich in resources. And when we go there as Senate, I think we will realize that these areas are very, very rich in resources. In Turkana, you have plenty of water, both underground water. I understand there is more than a lake underground. And they also have Lake Turkana, which is there and can be exploited. Mr. Speaker, sir, they have a lot of animals, and there is no reason why these animals cannot be turned into an economic activity instead of leaving them to be, to survive there, to overgraze on fragile land, and the land which is very fertile, which can also be used for irrigation. We used to do irrigation in a place called Katilu irrigation scheme, and it was very productive. So the land in Turkana, if you can utilize the water which is there, and use the land for production, agricultural production, it can feed Kenya. Actually, Turkana can feed Kenya. So they can also have abattoirs there in Turkana, slaughter and sell meat in the Middle East, like my colleague Honorable Mogeni was saying. And we can also the government of, I don't, that was not a handshake government, but maybe it was a handshake government between Oburu and Ruto in 2013. They adopted a policy of using leather and textile as a way of creating employment in the country. And I went with the Minister of Industry, we went around the world, and we found that leather can employ millions of people, actually does employ millions of people. And there is no reason why the animals in northeastern and Turkana particularly can be used to produce, not, not just to put up leather industry, but even, actually to produce leather products like handbags and shoes and other things. Those industries can be established right there in Turkana and in Northeastern, and therefore these regions need not be marginalized. And when we are there, I think you will see what is happening in Turkana, and it is a lot of very good experience for those who are not gone, like my party leader. When you go there, party leader, I can tell you the people are very friendly. And apart from being very friendly, they also have very nice meat, very, very tender, and the goat is very sweet. My party leader, you will eat very, very nice goats there, very generous people, and they have also very rich culture, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I hate to interrupt our senior youth, Senator Oburu Odinga. Understanding on the 105 on accuracy of facts, he says there is a party leader who will be visiting to and making reference to a party leader in this house. I don't think, I've not seen Senator Roba. I don't know whether there is any other party leader. You know he's from, Mr. Speaker, you know he's from parliamentary group meeting, I understand, because party leader was there. Can you clarify, Mr. Speaker, sir?
Proceed, Senator Oburu.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I was just referring to my leader in the House, who is the leader of the minority. And if he doesn't think that is my leader here for our party, I'm sorry, I will teach you how to learn about that. Yes, but Mr. Speaker, sir, let me not be disrupted. Let me just conclude my speech by saying that I support going to Turkana, because I know we shall learn a lot. Turkana has a lot of oil which is yet to be exploited. It has a lot of water resources, and the government needs to invest more to develop the infrastructure so that our country can benefit from those immense resources in not only in Turkana but in those areas where some people think that they are poor, but they are not poor. They are very, very rich counties, and it is only lack of investment which has made them to be marginalized. But I hope that things like the other thing we were discussing here the other day, Mr. Speaker, equalization fund, I was very unhappy to see that areas which don't need those equalization fund were also benefiting from those funds, when areas which were marginalized, like Turkana, are just getting a portion of it. But these are the areas where we need to seriously think of directing equalization so that we can bring them up to speed, because these are areas which have been neglected right from the colonial times, and our independent governments did also not give them the due consideration that they needed. And now it is time that counties like Turkana are brought up so that we can exploit the immense resources that they have and bring up the people up to speed, and also learn about their very, very rich culture, which should not be left to die. That culture must be built, it must be improved, and we must encourage the Turkana people to continue on the trajectory of development. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Esi Okenyure.